I am here because I have a YouTube channel, and sometimes if you do that, you should fill it up with content, and maybe people watch it or they don't. I haven't checked the view count. I imagine I probably shouldn't do that because it could be depressing. I also am making a top 10 list because that's just obligatory. If you watch a lot of films, you have to make a top 10 list if you're a film nerd. And I am watched about 45 films. I think exactly 45 fictional films and 2 documentaries for the year 2020. So let's do our top 10. Number 10 is the film Promising Young Woman, and this film was nominated for an Oscar, which means that, as far as history is concerned, Hollywood considered it one of the 8 best films of the year. It is a film that deals with rape culture and date rape, and kind of the way that society hasn't been handling it well. I'm sure in the Me Too era it's gotten a little better, and I'm generally critical of feminist films, but I think this was actually a very even-handed film. I admire it for that. It actually treated the men decently. The male characters fairly, kind of. I mean, it also didn't necessarily advocate for, like, life destruction, because the primary female character was, like, more for teachable moments, which is sort of my philosophy as well when it comes to cancel culture, rather than, okay, arrest, life destruction for you. It is a film that is about it's also kind of a pseudo superhero film where this is basically like Daredevil or Batman, where a woman is just taking justice into her own hands. Although, again, the limits of that, perhaps in a feminist way, limits of that in a real world way in which you are going to put yourself in danger, is definitely explored here. The film also did a great job at zigging, and where it could have zagged a lot. There were 3 or 4 moments where I'm like, is this the end of the film? Is this where the film is headed in its permanent direction? And it didn't do that, so it was a really wonderful film in so many ways. I'm sure that a lot of people did not like it, and probably in a sort of message way. And I think that is probably means the film did something right. If it's provocative, and people probably object to it with long think pieces about how it's bad for feminists or society or people, and I don't know, of color, which probably always gets put in the film essay somewhere. My number 9 film is 7500. It's a film that came out on Amazon Plus, and it starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is having a great year. The film stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a pilot. It is a thriller. It's a film that's about lifeboat ethics, about really difficult choices you have to make. In the most climatic moment, the film pilot has to decide to let the mother of his child and his girlfriend have her life put in danger to save the potential of the entire crew and the plane. And it is a very harrowing film, and it is it harkens back to an early area of filmmaking without feeling like a facsimile of a disaster film or anything like that. My number 8 film is Soul. It has been a while since Pixar did something original. It has been a while since Pixar did something funny. It's rare for Pixar to do something that is visually amazing, and it's even rarer for all 3 of those things to coincide. And Soul is a film that, and fourthly, it's rare for a Pixar film to have such a great moral. If you think about it, the morals of the Pixar films are such mature fables. The idea in Inside Out that sadness is necessary to happiness, or and WALL-E about love, I guess, I don't know, and Finding Dory about, I don't know, there are so many really mature fables that you come and earn Cars about value to the old rather than the new, and the value to what's lost when technology advances. There is so much really mature fables, and Soul is one of those fables, too, about pursuing your dreams is all movies tell you about, and there's this crack in that theory of if that's all you, there's so many moments of joy that you probably shouldn't forget about along the way. And it's just like, how often has a movie ever talked about that? The film has very round character development, and it doesn't leave big holes where like humor is not going to fall out of. It lends itself to humor very well, but humor is very consciously written into it, and I really appreciated that. My number 7 film is News of the World. Just imagine a Western in the mold of, a John Wayne film. I kind of felt it was like that. It was a little bit of The Searchers, a little bit of True Grit, where the hero dares to be happy, because the traditional Western hero is a loner who doesn't have a place in society at the end of the film. And so, just imagine that. It's basically a film about the search for happiness, and that's really rare in a Western. And Westerns are an opportunity to have really great production design, to have really great kind of pyrotechnics, and that's not missing from News of the World. And thematically, there's also a quieter theme here, buried underneath the story about how, or an examination, per se, of how people cope with change that I thought was really interesting. Moving on from that, we have One Night in Miami. Now, there are stories that are just a dime a dozen that are happening right now about the black experience that basically boils down to white people treated black people horribly in the past, and, this is a movie. And some of these movies, like, United States vs. Billie Holiday, are just really harrowing, and it's really dramatic. But it's not like I'm being taught anything new. So One Night in Miami is just kind of a living, breathing conversation dramatized on film among four figures, monumental figures of their era, who were monumental figures of their era as black people, but monumental figures of their era as people. And both sides of that are really examined. There's almost an interactivity to kind of like the dialectic between the characters that's just brings the film to life. And I always appreciate a stage adaptation that can be adapted to film in a way that just really feels filmic. And that's really great about One Night in Miami. Whew. I think I'm going to pause because I don't want to drag the audience out for 8 minutes more.